The girlfriend accepted it was his body. The mother never did. She
Gosh.
never accepted that body was her son. She preferred to live with the hope that maybe he was going to turn up. To say, I'm really sorry, but in my opinion, this is your son.
Do you remember sort of some of those first occasions when you did begin to help the police with
I remember the very
inquiries?
first one.
Yeah.
So I was still a PhD student in Aberdeen. And because this is pre-DNA, it was a young man who'd been flying a microlight. And the microlight had crashed off the east coast of Scotland. The body had gone into the sea. You don't survive in the North Sea very long. And his body was in the water for about 2 weeks. So you can imagine the condition was not good by the time the body came on shore. And there had been, I think, quite a lot of damage associated with rocks and such things around. So the individual wasn't readily identifiable. And the question from the police is, we've got a body and we've got somebody missing. Before DNA, can't use fingerprints because the hands, the top layer of skin had sloughed off. Couldn't use dental because of the damage to the face. Couldn't recognize the face because of the damage to the head. How do we figure out if he's the same person?
Right.
And they said, we'll ask the anatomist to come over. And so myself and my supervisor, we went over, and that was the first time that I'd gone into a police mortuary. And again, it was that thing of saying, can I do this?
Yes,
Can I go into the anatomy department? Can I go into the mortuary? And the answer was yes. And we identified that the individual who came on shore was male, and that was what we were looking for. We identified an age range, which fitted, an ethnic origin, which fitted, a height, which fitted, everything about this individual in terms of their basic biometric matched. It's the four things: age, sex, height, and ethnicity. And all of those match, but of course they're not specific. There are a number of people that could fit into those categories. And so it's what else can you find on the body that might identify? And he had a birthmark on the left-hand side of his chest, just a small birthmark underneath his left nipple. And so we asked his mother, did your son have a birthmark? And she said, no, my son was perfect. My son had no birthmarks. And I said, I think maybe you should go and ask the same question of his girlfriend. And they went and asked the girlfriend. She said, yes, he had a birthmark under there. So it's who you ask the questions of.
Yeah, that's interesting.
And as a result of that, the girlfriend accepted it was his body. The mother never did. She never accepted that body was her son. She preferred to live with the hope that maybe he was going to turn up, that something had happened to him. He'd lost his memory. You know these stories. It's that false hope. I think what our job tries to do, and it isn't unkind, I think it's a really kind job, is to be able to say, I'm really sorry, but in my opinion, this is your son. And it's dreadful news. It's absolutely dreadful news. But there's a kindness in there because it takes away that living with false hope. And it hopefully allows you to come to terms with the grief and to be able to put that body in the ground or whatever, have a place to go to recognize and remember who they were.
I think the hardest thing sometimes in terms of closure is when there isn't a body.
Exactly. Very much so. So you talk to families where there's a missing person and they say, our life just went into a stutter. We couldn't get beyond there because we don't know what happened to them. And all we can think about is that what happens to them is the worst possible thing that you can imagine. And they always say when we come to the door, yes, it was awful. I really hated the fact that you gave me the news. But 5 years on, I realise I'm in a different place now than I would have been if he hadn't been identified.
I read All That Remains, one of your books, last weekend, and you speak about your dad, and you just say really plainly, you know, when people say I've lost someone, and you say I haven't lost my dad.
He's not lost.
He's not lost. I know where he is.
Exactly where he is.
I put him there.
If he's not there, I want to know where the heck he is, because I put him in that hole in that ground. He's not lost. We use a lot of euphemisms. In my world, we don't. And I always try to be fairly careful because for some people, the abruptness of our language can actually be painful. So we will adopt the softer tones. But for my father, no, my father's dead. I know where he is. He's not missing. He's not lost. I miss him every single day of my life, and I have lost him from my life. But he isn't lost. He isn't missing. I know exactly where he is.
And I suppose it's that situatedness and that knowledge that is the kindness to give to others, is to say that you don't have to live with this uncertainty. Here's a tragic piece of certainty, but it's a kind piece of certainty.
Yes.
yeah, you're right. That's a kind of gift, I suppose, isn't it?
It is a kindness, but it's a kindness that is wrapped with pain.
Yeah.
There's no doubting that.
Yeah.